Online banking is fast, convenient and has become a necessary part of everyday life. But it's also a happy hunting ground for scammers, coming up with new ways to deceive.
Fraud's definitely getting worse in Australia, and I think the reason is the fraudsters have become much more sophisticated in the way they approach.
And talking to the banks, we know that the number of losses are just growing, unfortunately.
Alex Smith recently fell for an online scam. He's angry not only with the fraudster, but also with Australian banks. That's because he argues they've failed to put in place a simple security measure, checking the name of the account holder.
They're allowing a scam. They're facilitating fraud. They're allowing crime.
When making an electronic funds transfer, the banks ask for three things: the BSB number, the account number, and the account holder's name, but they don't check that name. So as long as the numbers match a valid account, the transfer will go through, no matter what you call the account holder.
People, I think, don't realise that names aren't looked at. You're asked for the name, so there's fair assumption to think that people would be actually checking the name.
Alex Smith was recovering in hospital just before Christmas when he received an email purportedly from his builder, who had just completed renovation work on an investment property. The email referred to a recent unpaid invoice for $13,000 and provided details of a new bank account.
So using the wonders of smartphone technology, I made the final payment to him from my hospital bed. Still in his company name, but of course it never got to him.
The email was in fact from a scammer who had hacked into his Toowoomba builder's email service.
I went and saw the bank involved and that was no help at all.
What did they say to you?
Well, they basically said that they don't care what name's written on any money transfer, that they'll put it in whatever account as long as the BSB and account number are right.
Did that surprise you?
It certainly did. To me, that's got to be, you look a bit sus right from the start.
I think the bank, through requiring you to put the name in, is implying to the consumer that there will be a check, and there isn't.
Australia's consumer watchdog received 11,000 reports of hoax invoices last year and many more reports of fraudsters taking over business email accounts, a worldwide trend costing billions of dollars.
They can now hack into people's systems, their email accounts, and do perfect impersonations of them. So it is very, very hard to pick that the invoice you're being sent isn't from your actual supplier or your actual CEO.
Braden Sester fell for the scam and lost $33,000.
Oh, I felt pretty sick, yeah, because didn't expect it to happen. It was my first big payment for the house.
He received an email last year in the name of the company that had laid the concrete slab for his new Brisbane home. But the email was in fact from a fraudster using the company's name, and the two banks involved in the transaction say they can't help. Do you think banks should take some responsibility for this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, we're using, their technology to transfer money from one account to another. If it's not the correct details or something like that, they should have some sort of system to stop that from happening.
The Australian Payments Network, which represents banks, says there are good reasons why account holders' names aren't checked.
The names that we use day to day may not be the names that are on the accounts. They're quite often derivatives. So I'm Andy, but my account could be in the name of Andrew or A, or actually could be a joint account with my wife.
The UK is trying to get around the problem by introducing a three-stage name-checking system.
The UK approach, my understanding of it, should address a lot of the problems that have been used in the past for arguing why this is not a good idea.
Banks in the UK will make the transfer if there's an exact name match, ask for confirmation if the name is similar, but reject the transfer if the name is different. Australia's corporate and consumer watchdogs are taking note.
There are so many problems with false billing these days and business email compromise scams. that we just have to do something to fix it, and this seems to be the best fix that I'm aware of.
I think the results of the UK's work will be very interesting to the Australian banking sector, because if it proves that it's not costly, it's very effective, I think it'll be a hard case not to answer why it shouldn't be done in Australia.
The Australian Payments Network has yet to commit to any changes.
What we know is that what consumers are asked to do in terms of checking the BSB and account number before they make payment, those checks work really well. And actually, most fraud through those scams is captured by the banks themselves.
But that's no comfort to victims of hoax invoices.
There was nothing in my mind at that time that made me suspicious about that email. Perhaps it should have done, but once again, had they checked the account name against the account number, the scam could not have occurred.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.